Facebook targeting is one of the biggest mysteries for many people when it comes to launching ads. And there is always this partly misconception but also like very big thought patterns for many people behind, oh, how do I do it right? What do I do wrong? And this approach is better. And like myself, there are many people explaining different setups. I want to give you data behind misconceptions. I want to show you how I do targeting with multiple millions of euros ad spend per year, but also setups that regardless if you spend $10 per day or 10,000 per day work. I've done it myself and I can show you how I do it and how targeting is one of the simplest things actually when it comes to your ads. And I want to prove and show it to you. So let's start. What are the options? You probably are familiar with this. There's so-called broad targeting, meaning you only set age range, location, and a gender. You keep it broad, you leave it up to the algorithm to find the right audience. Then you have lookalike audiences. These are based on custom audiences where the algorithm tries to find similar users like the ones in your custom audience. One of the most famous examples is a 1% purchase lookalike. So Facebook tries to find the 1% in your country or your locations that you set that are most familiar with your recent purchases. And then you have interest targeting, where you choose interests of people who should be interested in the product or the niche that you're working in or selling. And this is mainly based on the user data that Facebook has from visited websites and engaged content or also searched topics. If you set it up in your ad sets, you will probably see this interface here. So this your audience controls. This is like the most recent updates where you set the location. And if you show more options here, then you can also set minimum age ranges and also the gender. If you click to switch to original audience options, then you can also set everything up like you were used to. Before I will explain you how I do it and I will show you to it, I want to give you a quick insight, because the targeting, you set preferences on the ad set level, but the targeting for each ad is also different and unique. You can see it in your audience breakdowns when you look on an ad level. Here you can see 4 different ads in the same ad set, meaning they have the same targeting. The first ad here has 2/3 of the ad spend allocated to the male audience. In the second ad, you have it nearly equal. And then here, once again, you have more male. And here you have a slight preference for the women. So even though you set your settings on an ad set level, it still looks different for each ad. Every ad does their own like lookalike audience and custom audience. And even though they may be in the same ad set, the targeting or the chosen targeting for each ad is different. And this has its reasons in the targeting settings and how the algorithm works in 2025. And this is based on the input that you give the machine. You can set all your preferences, but it's, as mentioned, more of a preference. It's not a fixed setting. The best inputs you give to the algorithm, which means texts that have certain keywords that speak to your audience. Secondly, your ad creators. And thirdly, your landing pages. Facebook gets the data from these 3 assets and tries to understand whom do you want to reach through your ad creatives, your ad texts, and your landing pages. And then it uses this data to try to find the right audience for you, which means it is important how clearly the machine can understand you and your audience. Do you if you set an input which is just some gibberish and it's all over the place and not clear what your product has, what benefits it has, what the service that you're promoting is actually offering, and to whom this is, then the algorithm won't understand you. And now I ask you to not use this example, but if I want to make it very clearly, if you have an ad text that says, this is for all accountants who want to grow their business. Maybe you are struggling to sign clients, blah, 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 and so on. It's clear for the human, and it's also clear for the machine who your target audience is, accountants. So if you focus on the clarity and the quality of the input that you give to the machine, then also the better will be the results that the machine can give you. And the second important aspect that comes with it is the responsiveness and the quality of traffic you get from these ads. Because, and this is why I included the screenshot above here, Facebook tries to find its own, let's say, custom audience per ad. Meaning, if you have a lot of people that click because you use maybe some clickbait techniques to get as many people on your site as possible, then this might help Facebook to find similar people. But if those people are not purchasers or leads or whatever event you're trying to optimize for, then this won't help you, because Facebook will try to find people who are similar like those ones, but it's not a quality traffic that actually gives you a performance. And my last video was about how a high click-through rate doesn't give you anything. Sometimes a low click-through rate is even better for you because it's a more quality traffic, because it speaks to only a very specific certain problem that not so many people have. So, and this is why it's so easy to think about targeting settings and play around with it a lot in the Ads Manager, because it's easy work. The hard work is actually creating ads that have a clear understanding for the audience and for the machine what you're trying to convey and what you're trying to sell or offer. So the hard work, but this is the work that's important for targeting, is for you to focus on great asset creation. Make great ads, and this will work for you. And then targeting settings don't matter, because the ads are great, they are clearly understandable for the human and for the machine, and therefore people will do the action that you want people to do. It focuses you on creating a deeper audience, customer understanding, to market in a way that people can understand it. It focuses you to create products that actually have a product market fit, and not trying to sell something that no one else wants to have because it has no benefit. And then also your offer attractiveness. Do you actually have a good offer? And this, of course, is not as easy as changing some targeting settings or switching from broad targeting to maybe interest targeting. Like, I do broad targeting since over 2 years now, and I have never seen a difference in interest targeting or lookalike audiences on a larger scale. Maybe if you have 20 euros of ad spend or dollars per day and your ads are not really good, then sometimes this supports you in getting one more sale, but this is also more of a coincidence and nothing strategic. So make sure you create great ads. This is the best targeting that you can do, because you give the machine the clear input and you speak to people in a way that it resonates with them, that you get quality traffic, and this is valuable data for the algorithm to optimize your targeting. So what can you practically do to support your ads? As mentioned here, these aspects here. But also to support the machine. First of all, go to your advertising settings. Here you have the audience segments, and in this audience segment section, you can upload lists about your engaged audience and your existing customers. Existing customers is clear what it is. Here you can input a custom audience of all your previous customers, because this gives the algorithm already a data point on an ad account level that these are people who already purchased, and they can work with it regardless of any campaign or ad set setups or whatever. And also engaged audiences. These are, as it's also written here, these are people who are aware of your business or interacted with your product or services, but not have made a purchase. So website visitors, maybe leads that signed up. You can use this input here to already give indications. So this is my recommendation and how I work with it, and also why, from my perspective, only broad targeting makes sense. First of all, it's scalable. You don't have any limitations that you put on the algorithm. Therefore, it can optimize better, and it gives you the correct focus, meaning you don't worry about targeting settings because your targeting settings are your ads that you create. And focusing on this has a much higher leverage for you and will give you much better performance than focusing on your targeting settings. Why don't I work with lookalikes, and why does it, from my perspective, does not really make sense? First of all, you limit the algorithm due to also limited data, because, as you know, tracking is not what it was or what it used to be. Then second, how is a 1% lookalike of your audience scalable? It does not make sense. How do you want to go beyond that? Okay, then you take maybe a 2% and a 3% and a 5% and a 10%. Okay, what is a 10% of a whole country that have most things in common with the audience that already purchased from you? It is like broad targeting. And also, it's not written anymore in all ad accounts. Facebook has the right to expand your audience, that's what it says, if it believes that it will result in better results than your settings that you gave to the machine, which is also broad targeting. So Facebook reserves the right to make your ads like go broad targeting, even though you don't set it that way. Same is true for interest targeting, but for interest targeting, also important to know is that 90% of all audiences that, like I know from 2018, 2019, back in the days where you had like big interest stacks as targeting settings, over 90% of those interests are deleted. They are only very generic interests. And what does a generic interest serve you? Nothing really. And also, interest targeting is like to a big percentage based on the consumed and engaged content. But this is not representative for the topics that people might be interested in or the problems that they're trying to solve. It can be solely for entertainment. And therefore, the algorithm might use wrong data about audiences based on this data set. So the best thing you can do is focus on your ads, focus on asset creation, simply go broad. In the beginning, don't make any settings besides location, then spend a little bit of money, gather first data, then you can see about the age ranges and also the gender, if you might do here some custom settings. But besides this, simply focus on creating better ads, because this will give you the best results. And if you want to understand why that is, and also why a click is not really a click, or why it's important to focus on getting the right quality of traffic, then you can watch this video here where I break down how over 2 million euros of ad spend, the click-through rate and the sales have nothing in common, and why oftentimes a lower click rate gives you better results.